Welcome back everyone to another video here on the channel. In today's video, pretty simple. I'm covering my top 5 wide receiver rooms in college football going into the 2025 year. I will be providing evidence, stats, all that and more going forward. But first, if you have not already, please subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me as a small creator, a college football creator on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button and comment your thoughts down below. Without further ado, let's just dive right in. At number 5, I have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, a lot of you guys are going to click off after you hear that, saying he's crazy. There are so many better wide receiver rooms than the Irish. But look, I mean, they have some studs at the wide receiver position. You can see 4 of them right there. Jaden Greathouse led the stable last year with just under 600 yards. But keep in mind, their offense last year, they ran the ball. They ran the ball for over 3,200 yards, excuse me, right there. So they did not pass the ball hardly at all. Riley Leonard did not throw for over 3,000 passing yards. I mean, just no one, they did not throw the ball hardly at all. They had more total rushing yards than they did passing yards, which is astounding to me at least. So I think that they're going to be changing that philosophy this year. They have a quarterback in CJ Carr who I really like. His arm talent is through the roof. I think they will be airing the ball out way more, and that is where Jaden Greathouse will thrive with that deep ball. And I think that CJ Carr is a really good deep ball from what I've been seeing. And then it's not really about what they return as well as the transfers that they got in. They brought in Will Pauling, the Wisconsin transfer, who, you see his stats right there. He went for over 800 yards and 6 touchdowns on a Wisconsin team that was not very good and did not have good quarterback play. Again, a lot of these projections does, obviously you're going to have Ohio State on this list. It does depend on Julian Sayin working out, and it does depend on CJ Carr working out at Notre Dame here. But I think that he will. So just a little bit of projection there, but you bring in some really talented guys. Will Pauling, he's going to play primarily in the slot, and, he's not going to be the number one guy. There are going to be other guys on the field that teams have to worry about, that defenses have to worry about. And Will Pauling is a guy that I think will thrive at Notre Dame because when he was at Wisconsin, he was their number one guy, obviously, but it was with a bad quarterback, and Big Ten defenses were just hounding on Will Pauling because he was the best receiver by and large on that Wisconsin team last year. And still with the double coverages, with the coverages slanted his way, because he's the number one guy at Wisconsin. He got 837 yards and 6 touchdowns. So he was a stud at Wisconsin for multiple years there. So he's coming into this Notre Dame team. He's going to be playing in the slot. He's going to be really, really good. Jordan Faison comes back. He's the dual sport guy. He plays lacrosse. He was not rated out of high school. Everyone counted him out, but then he showed off in a big way in the college football playoff. I instantly fell in love with his game. He's a smaller guy, but he takes slants down the middle. He does all the dirty work, you can say. He can take hits over the middle. He can still run a good go route, but he does all the dirty things, and that you need that type of player on your team, which is why I think that this room is incredibly well balanced. You have Greathouse and Fields, who we will talk about in a second. On the outside, Faison just as your do-it-all gadget player, Pauling in the slot. I just really like how well-rounded this room is. So even, playing lacrosse and all that, he still ended up getting over 350 yards, had that touchdown, but really showed out in the college football playoff, in my opinion. Then you have Malachi Fields, who transferred in from University of Virginia, had over 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. Similar story to Will Pauling. I just really like this wide receiver room a lot. I'm excited for CJ Carr. Really just excited for this Notre Dame team, and especially the wide receivers. Next up at number 4, I have Auburn here. Auburn, I think, has a fantastic wide receiver room, even more so than teams like Ole Miss and LSU because of the amount of star power that they retain. Now, they did get some great transfers in Eric Singleton Jr. and Horatio Fields, but the guys that they return, Cam Coleman, 2024 5-star, 99 rating, second only to Jeremiah Smith, who obviously we will get to here in this video. But I mean, he showed out last year, getting basically 600 yards and 8 touchdowns. And you had Malcolm Simmons, who was here in that same class as Cam Coleman. Obviously, not as great as stats as Cam Coleman, but again, these guys were freshmen last season and they still balled out. Simmons, a very high 4-star. Just both of them balled out last year. If you combine their stats, they're over 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. Just the amount. So you bring back those guys, and then you bring in 2 transfers in Eric Singleton Jr. from Georgia Tech, who at Georgia Tech had 2 very solid years. 2 years in which he went over 700 yards, a couple touchdowns both years, and I mean, still very young. And I think that he was one of the top wide receiver transfers in the portal. Just one of those guys, those X factor guys that you bring in to just elevate a room to new heights. And I think that's what Auburn did. They could have stuck it out with Coleman and Simmons and been like, "This is a great duo. We can, build around it." But they added to this room with Eric Singleton Jr. And then they bring in Horatio Fields, not as good as a transfer in my estimation over Singleton, but I think that Horatio Fields coming in from Wake Forest provides plenty of he's still got plenty in the tank, and he still is a fantastic wide receiver to rotate in for this Auburn team. So I really like it. Jackson Arnold, he can still sling it. I mean, you may have your opinion on him, but him coming into Auburn, he still has that very talented arm, that otherworldly talented arm, I should say. And he comes in, and I think that he can really help out this Auburn team, whereas they had Peyton Thorne last year, and, Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons did this with a terrible quarterback. Now, they might get the same type of quarterback play this year. You never know. I mean, especially with a guy like Jackson Arnold, as volatile as he is. But if Jackson Arnold plays anywhere near to his ceiling, I think that you can expect all 4 of these guys to bust out and really play strong. At number 3 here, we have probably the statistically best group out of the 3 that we have or will discuss so far. You have the Clemson Tigers room here with TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco Jr., and Antonio Williams here. TJ Moore, the highest rated out of the 3 here, 5-star, 98 rating in that studded 2024 receiver class. He had 651 yards and 5 touchdowns last season. And Bryant Wesco Jr., same class, lower rating. He was a 4-star with a 96 overall rating, very close to a 5-star. Had surprisingly better stats than TJ Moore, had the same amount of touchdowns, but had over 50 yards more receiving than TJ Moore. I get it. It's you're really splitting hairs here, but the point being, both of them had amazing production for their true freshman season last year. Antonio Williams, the senior leader in the group, came in with that 2024 class with Cade Klubnik, a stud class, 4-star in that class. But I mean, he has just gone off. He has been that true number 1 receiver for them. Over 900 yards last season, double-digit touchdowns with 11, and he has just been amazing for them. And I mean, with the progression of Cade Klubnik, I mean, if he takes another jump this year, like everyone's saying, and I mean, I have him as my number 1 quarterback going into college football. That was a separate video if you want to see that. But if you guys just look at everyone else's list as well, people tend to agree with me. I tend to agree with people that Cade Klubnik is the guy this year. And I mean, you add possibly 200 more yards and a couple more touchdowns to all these guys' stats from last year. I mean, you're talking about Antonio Williams over 1,000 yards, Bryant Wesco over 900, TJ Moore around 900, and I mean, these guys, if you add 200 yards and a couple more touchdowns to these guys' stats, I mean, it's a bona fide room. Now, obviously, you have to project that Cade Klubnik will do well. If you do not think that Cade Klubnik will do well, you will have a hard time finding that these receivers will do well. So, I mean, it's a give and a take. But another thing that I think contributes to this as well is that I think that Clemson won't be running the ball that much. I don't trust their running game as much. So I think they're going to be throwing the ball 40 plus times a game. Is it the best course of action? I don't know, but I do think that they will be throwing the ball a lot more than they run the ball. And I think that just accelerates these guys' development and growth and stats, let's just say. So I really do think that this Clemson room is a really, really, a 3-headed monster, and it's a really good room. Coming in at number 2, I have the Texas Longhorns. But before we talk about them, I really want to emphasize the point. If you have liked the video so far, you agree with what I'm saying, or even if you disagree, but I make at least a little bit of sense to you, please subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's just a click of a button, and it would really help out the ratings. I've just surpassed over 100 videos made on the channel, and we have 337 subscribers at this time of recording. So I would really appreciate it if you subscribed. And I mean, if you wanted to throw a comment down there, that would be great. I answer all comments, or at least interact with all comments, and the like, and like the video as well. So with that plug out of the way, sorry, shameless plug. We have the Texas Longhorns here, who have the deepest room by far in terms of talent on this list at all. I think obviously you guys are going to know that Ohio State is one. Ohio State's one on pretty much every list. We'll talk about them in a minute, but I think Texas's room is more talented than Ohio State's room, in my opinion. I think it's a lot closer to that number one spot than a lot of people have them. So I think that this room, yes, it does require a little bit of projection here, because you do have Michael Terry and Khalil Lockett, who are 2025 true freshmen, who are going to get a really good amount of playing time. Aaron Butler, I have him down there on that list as well. I think he's that 5 guy who I think he'll play a lot. But you look at the duo that they have at the top, Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore Jr. Yes, they did not put up great stats last year, but DeAndre Moore, he's an end zone threat, 7 touchdowns on 456 yards, which is very impressive. Ryan Wingo, that 5-star, 89, 98 rating, did not put up great stats last year, but again, they had a bunch of great receivers last year. They had Isaiah Bond, they had Matthew Golden ahead of them. So they had a lot of guys ahead of them. They're going to be running the ball a fair amount as well, but I don't think that should take away from the talent that's in this room. Michael Terry, the number 1 athlete in the country, and he was a 5-star pretty much through the whole process, and until they bumped him down to a 4-star late. So I think that he will have a lot. He reminds me a lot of DK Metcalf, big body, receiver. Khalil Lockett, a lot like Ryan Wingo, in my opinion, except a year younger, and he's a true freshman. And like we saw, Texas is willing to play their true freshman, albeit in a more reserved fashion. So I don't really expect Lockett and Terry to really have out of this world numbers, but I do think that they will be involved early. And, if they play well, anything is possible, really. And then you throw in Aaron Butler there as well, very talented wide receiver. So I think that this room has probably the most talent out of any one of these 5 on this list. So anyway, I think that this Texas room is really, really good. Coming in at number 1, yes, you guessed it, probably the least best kept secret on this list. Ohio State at number 1. You feature Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Innocent, Carnell Tate as your starters. All extremely talented guys. Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter round out the stable. And let's just go from top to bottom. I really don't need to talk about Jeremiah Smith that much. 101 rating by 24/7 Sports, 2024 5-star, had over 1,300 yards. Right now, he is my Heisman pick. I'm going to say it right now. I haven't said it yet, and I'm going to release a video on who would be my Heisman pick soon. But Jeremiah Smith is right there. I think that if I were a betting man, I would probably put money on him to win the Heisman, because of how dominant he was last season, and he's only going to get better from here. Plus, Ohio State brings in a guy in Julian Sayin, who, yes, doesn't have as much experience as Will Howard, but he has a 1,000 times, in my opinion, better arm than Will Howard did, and he's going to be able to get them the ball a lot more. And I think they're going to be passing the ball a fair amount more than they did last season. Last season, they had a pretty even split. This season, I don't think the running backs are as good, but the wide receivers take a step up, in my opinion. Just that's on the gameplay. Ohio State, they have Brandon Inniss and Carnell Tate in this fold as well. Brandon Inniss, I think, he's very underrated, in my opinion. Not many people really think that he is a guy who's going to break out, but I see him as a guy who's going to have over 600 yards on the season, way more touchdowns than what he had last season. Carnell Tate last year put up some really, really good stats. He was at 5-star in 2023, had 773 yards. He was really good. And then Mylan Graham is an intriguing piece here. They redshirted him. He didn't play really at all last season, and they're ready for him to start, from what everyone's been hearing. And Quincy Porter is just out of this world talented as well. And, you have the best wide receiver coach in the league right now in Brian Hartline. And he'll be half calling plays, I think. And I just think this Ohio State wide receiver room, obviously, Jeremiah Smith is the best wide receiver in football, and that helps them out a lot. But the surrounding cast, they're going to have to watch out. Coverages will be slanted toward Jeremiah Smith. They will be triple covering this guy, so people will be open down the field. And that's where Innis and Tate and Graham and Porter really will shine, in my opinion. Okay, that's it for this video. A little bit of a shorter video for you guys today, hoping to keep this one under 15 minutes, and I think I did. I'll have to check that when I stop recording here. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and put a comment down there. I will respond to it. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.